Hello and welcome to our show Midwest Weekly, starring myself, Hairwiz, and my co-host CLT. We are here to give you a breakdown and recap of the first week's action across the Fall Sweat League here in 2025, and it is a very, very exciting first week. Not a lot of new teams, CLT, but tons of returning teams, and of course we did have the one new team who did seemed to give Instinct a little trouble, but Instinct was a little better that day. So I'm excited to talk about them when we get there. But overall, it should be a great, great first episode of the split. See, let's see how you feel, man. How you been?
I'm pretty good. Uh, I can't really complain.
That's very good. Yeah, guys. Hopefully, I have no coughing fits during this episode. If I do, I apologize. I'll just mute my mic and let CLT talk. Um, so upper respiratory infection. I just found out. It just doesn't go away, you know. You get sick, you get this, you get that. It's always fun. But before we go in, I just wanted to note something here. Um, and I'm not here to get political or anything, guys. I just wanted to say a quick little something, and my piece on this, because I feel as though um, I just feel like I want none of you feel like I'm obligated to do so. I want to speak on just this real quick. With all that's been going on in the last couple months, we've had a lot of assassinations. We had the people up there in Minneapolis, the husband and wife. We had the murder of that woman on that train. We had the school shooting recently, of course, as well, and then the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I want to state, and this is very important to me, that I don't think anybody should ever condone violence for any reason whatsoever. Um, and I haven't seen a bunch of people laughing about any of the other circumstances that I brought up. But if there are, they're disgusting people. We should not laugh about anybody dying, and certainly um, not Charlie Kirk either. Um, Again, I'm not here to get political. I'm not going to give my viewpoints on if what he said was right in circumstances. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just saying that no matter what side of the spectrum you lie on, even if you're not even itsy bitsy political, if you don't care about politics, we should never laugh about people's deaths. And I thought that was a disgrace to see that people thought it was okay and thought it was funny. It's just not. So I just wanted to say my piece on that. Um, but I'm leaving all the other stuff out, right? No politics here. So my 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 prayers personally will go out to all those people that have recently lost their lives in such tragic ways. To those kids as well. No one should be getting harmed or hurt. And you know, if anything, I'm this episode is dedicated to just anti-violence, man. We don't want to see violence. We don't want to see people hurt each other. So um, just be better and love each other and love thy neighbor, all that type of stuff. That's how we should be living every day of our lives, regardless of our disagreements. So just wanted to get that out of the way. CLT, am sure you don't really have much to say, but is there anything you wanted to note on that?
No, I you covered a lot of it without going down a rabbit hole I'm not comfortable with going down. But yeah, I don't think I don't think violence is necessary for any situation. Um, there's a quote where once discussions break down, then that's where the violence show up, and I think that's a very accurate quote, regardless of if you agree with the source that it came from. So,
Yeah, no, that's
uh,
that's well said.
yeah, but we got some good League of Legends to go over
Yeah,
here.
and
So,
that's what we're here to do. I just felt like I wanted to do that, guys. So, if you guys are ever bothered by that, I apologize. I'm just being me. It's the same stuff when I talked about suicide prevention in the past. Like this is just who I am. If something upsets me, I want to talk about it, even for a quick moment. So, let's get the show on the road, though. Let's talk about the league. Let's talk about the games and the series. Let's talk about me and CLTV back on the horse together. That's what this is about today. So the first series we're going to start with here is Capachungas Deluxe against Coin Flip. Um, so, uh, CLT, did you catch any of this series at all?
I caught a little bit of this series while I was recording it to throw it up. Unfortunately, this series landed at a time where we could not get it showcased live. But after my cast, I managed to get this up. So it was it kind of went the way we all thought it would go. First of all, again, congrats to Capachungus for being our rec league champs. And when they came to us about joining Sweat League, uh, we said, "Hey, if you win rec, we can have a discussion." And they went out and freaking did it. Did it in a pretty big fashion too. I remember we all were there casting that series. But no, them versus Coin Flip. I was very surprised at the early game. I thought Capachungus held their own in game one very, very well, but eventually, the team fight diff from Coin Flip, because we all have seen them for now. This is their third split,
Yeah.
and they are consistent. They love the fight, and
Oh,
that's where I think
I'm sorry to get
this.
excited. I just checked this. I didn't even think there'd be anything. Battlefy is tracking stats again.
Oh, really?
Sorry, I cut CLT off. I was showing the game, and I go, you know what? Let me see if there's some screenshots. And then all of a sudden, I see the game. The game is there. Amazing.
The game is there.
What a shocker.
Yeah, look at here.
This is so nice to have. Oh my god, I miss this, guys. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I do as well.
that's crazy. But yeah, no, you're correct. I mean, Capachungas, they came out and they played one hell of a series against their opponent there. I can't even remember the team at this point.
Pop it.
Pop it. Thank you. It was a really fun series, and it was definitely a surprising one. How Capachungas like locked down Bop It. So to come into here against a very formidable foe here in Coin Flip was generally curious how it would look, especially because their team play had looked really clean and crisp in that series, and I thought maybe if they come in here and they play at least that level, they could compete. And based on this first game, I would say that they definitely didn't get completely shut down, but there were some stuff lacking in the ability to compete with the upper echelon players of this league. Um, I think only one of their members is Emerald, right? And that's just Golden Sunset. So Capachungus is in a bit of an uphill battle every time they play against teams in the league, but that's great. That means they get better, and maybe that's why they actually ended up winning the split over there in Rec League. Maybe because they were able to get the practice in the previous Sweat League. So if that's what they're here for every time, and they just love to play, then I'm always here for it. So do you have any specific takeaways from draft or anything you're kind of seeing from the game while you're kind of scrolling through?
Um, no, I think both teams drafted the comps that they wanted to draft. We all know Brandino is kind of a specialist and one of the only junglers I see playing this Ambessa in the jungle. So Coin Flip having that kind of flexibility in the draft is nice to have in the back pocket. But Capachungus, this is a typical comp that we see out of Capachungus. They're going ahead with the roster change that they made in the playoffs of Rec League with Joker at AD and Golden Sunset being top. But Timos did play jungle for this split. Or he played jungle, I believe he's their sixth man, so he was subbing in for Foe.
Hmm.
And yeah, he had a really solid game. There's nothing really wacky in this draft. Everything's meta picks for these teams. And I'm just it looks like there's a little bit of a skirmish here because I'm at the 11.5 minute mark and I see they're up 2 kills and about 3 gold. Coinflip just kept pressing their lead throughout the laning phase, but Capachungus wasn't really like feeding kills into them. They were still making good strategic map movements. It just came down to the team fight
Yeah.
aspect that I think where Coinflip really has a big advantage, and they just kept pressing it.
Yeah, and I think part of that comes down to the CS numbers. I do see early on at least CS was actually pretty close. Um, because I went to that little bit of mark and I'm looking and it's like you see the both AD carries separating them is about 2 CS right before Joker ends up getting killed um, for feats there. Uh, in the mid, there was a bit of a gap. I mean, you had almost what's that like a little more than 15 CS lead, uh, 17 CS. You know, jungle was multiple camps, about 4 camps, um, maybe a little more than 4 camps, but yeah, maybe about 6. Um, but otherwise, top and AD carry were relatively close for laning phase, and that's really good, right? But I do think when you come into these team fights with your pocketbooks kind of low due to the fact that you are lacking a bit of farm, right? That is going to hurt, but that's a positive here for Capuchungas. They were able to kind of come in here and for the first, I would say, 15 minutes, kept the game relatively close. I mean, 2 to 3K against a really upper echelon team is very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and I think that was really showcased a lot more in game two. But looking at game one, this draft wise, it's a really good meta team fight comp. The more I see Mbessa played, the more I think she really loves starting off like the combos. Like she's a combo starter for me, if I were to put it in like fighting game terms. And she's really good at that. We've seen Mbessa played a little bit this week with some champs like an Oriana or Ziggs or Vi as well. Like Vi's also like one of those combo starters, so it doesn't surprise me that coin flip drafted Mbessa, whether it be top or jungle, with something like a Galio, and then with Bori coming over the top with this Kai'Sa. Bori is an absolute like madman on Kai'Sa, and he just positions well, team fights well. Like the man does it all
Yeah, I'm
on that
honestly
champion.
looking. I'm looking for the breaking point in this game because as of right now, I mean, like even here at 20 minutes when the autocut starts, only 3K, 6 kills to 4. You know, like this game is so close. Um, all it takes is one good fight. Now the Otacon probably is gonna flip that a bit. They were able to acquire that on the side of red side, or blue side. So that's gonna impact things. Um, but it actually does look like Otacon just broke the game. Actually, as I say that, the lead jumps so quickly after they get this tier 2. They're up to 5K. 5K gold lead is now very meaningful in a game. Um, and that's off the back of a really nice setup there from Matt. Got a really really nice Gnar into the wall there. So his ult. So um, yeah, I mean hard fought by Capuchungas, but coin flip. They're coming in really really strong. They look very good, very clean. Bori maybe shaking off some rust in the 80 carry role a bit. Uh, you know, he's his score line isn't like anything that's gonna be eye popping for a Bori game necessarily. Like 7-3 and 8 is pretty good, uh, but it's definitely something where it's like I expect him to ramp up. Um, Brandino is still performing very well in the jungle there for them. So very very clean game, and obviously the rest of the team you got GeoProw and support and Aristotle going into the mid lane, which I believe is actually his main role, if I'm not mistaken. Finally for
It
him,
it is, yeah.
so they're gonna kind of shape out a bit as the season progresses, but game one was very good. It was a nice win by them. Let's go ahead and check out game two here real quick, and then we can move into the next series. So game two, drafting here. Interestingly, Morgana in the mid lane into a Ari. Huh.
Yep. Yeah, Morgana mid was a little bit of a theme this week.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. Um.
Yeah,
So otherwise, pretty much standard drafts from everybody. Everybody getting really good power picks. I mean, you see the Wukong kind of popping up in there. Jin Zhao still hasn't really, found a way into being trash, unfortunately, no matter how much they touch him. Um, so relatively normal picks. Side in the top lane. Uh, One thing I will note is the damage from Capuchungas as a team kind of seemed pretty low overall. The highest damage member was 17,000. That was Joker, Well, the rest of the team was below 10K. Now that's kind of concerning. I didn't really check game one damage stats. They look a little more balanced at least. Got multiple members over 10K, but yeah, maybe that's where they're actually hurting. It's not even farming; it's just doing damage. And the art of doing damage is actually like it's a real thing. Like some players are just good at it, and some just aren't. I don't know how to explain it, but uh, that's interesting. Very interesting. But yeah. So any takes for you here in game two?
Um, I mean, not really. Again, this is kind of just two comps. That it doesn't surprise me. I know Morgana's kind of a new wrinkle that we're gonna see quite a bit of this split. But Coin Flip has always had no issues playing this Ivern top into like super tanks to be very annoying. Though I will say, Golden Sunset played this lane pretty well. I've seen Matthias really like just dumpster teams with this Ivern top, but they here at around like I think it was the 3.5 minute mark where they had a fight in the river area, and Capachungus' top side of the map really showed up. Got themselves 3 kills, got that feats of warfare, and really looked like they were gonna do something with this game. I think where it kind of fell flat was what you were talking about. The lack of damage and overall like not enough access to the smolder here. So
Yeah, that
uh,
that type, that fight on the top side was actually very impressive from Capachungas. Really, being able to outplay some very skilled players. That is definitely interesting wrinkle. Which I wonder what that's more concerning for. Is that is that or not concerning, but is it like one of those things where we're just overly impressed with Capachungas, or are we a little concerned for Coin Flip?
I think it's Kappa. I think it's definitely Kappa playing these situations and these skirmishes right. The where maybe for a coin flip, this is still kind of a testing period for this Morgana mid, because she's not really known for bringing a consistent amount of damage or a lot of damage, especially in the early game. So maybe they just kind of overestimated their promise. Because I mean, when you think about Brandino on Xin Zhao coming in with Iron Shields and then Black Shield from Morgana, you think this Xin Zhao is going to run over this fight, but there's just not enough damage behind him to do that. So I think it was just more well played by Capachungus. But it is week one. It's probably fair to say that Coin Flip can still take a lot from the series and learn about it, especially in the early game with picks like Morgana.
Yeah, 100%. Um, Kind of watching these grubs over here. They're able to acquire all three grubs for free, which is pretty good for um. Or I can't breathe. Hold on. For the side of coin flip, it's gonna obviously always bode well when you get those, especially with a Jin Zhao is not too bad at taking turrets. The rest of the comp is not crazy at it, right? Like it's Morg and a Smolder and Ivern, but denying that from a Scion comp, denying that from a Sivir, I think that's pretty good. You don't let them burn out through these plates and towers quickly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean overall, I mean really just Capuchungo staying so tight in this game. I mean again, I'm at 13 and a half minutes and it's still 22K to 23K. Like it's 1,000 gold. That's it. 66 kills. Like this game was very competitive throughout most, and that's a great sign for Capuchungas. But I'm actually going to make an argument here after that conversation. Maybe it's just a little concerning for Coin Flip. I think, especially because they're losing these skirmishes, you can say that's like a high testament to uh, Kappa for sure. So that's why I think it's kind of both. But Coin Flip still seems to have very strong team fighting and control of the map once they get out of lane phase. So maybe they're just not going to be a strong skirmishing team this split. but it is something I am a little concerned for them moving forward.
I'm I'm personally I'm not too concerned. I think it's a week one for both teams. They're testing out new comps, new lineups. Capachungus, having Timos in the jungle, which, if I remember talking to Campbell, this was his first time ever playing jungle in a series. So they had some challenges going their way as well. But I'm not too worried about coin flip. It's a very smart group of guys that know how to play the game, and they know exactly what they're looking for when they do VOD reviews and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
think I think it's a very good warm up for coin flip, but I also think that Capachungus also showed that they're not the same team from the prior split, and they took a lot of stuff away from it.
100%. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and move into the next series here, which is going to be the Vancouver versus Insane Banana Posse series. So one of your former teammates over here got to
Yep,
got to see him play. Um, did you end up casting this series?
I did. Yeah, this series was a lot of fun. I would argue that this was probably the series I was most excited to look for because I think both teams not only returning but having some lineup change and some role changes. I was very excited to see that. I was also very excited to see Mr. One Handed, who was our Rec League MVP in the top lane, getting picked up by Insane Banana. So I really was curious to see how he would rise to the occasion. And yeah, this was a really entertaining series overall.
Yeah, rise he did, right? Unfortunately,
Not this game one.
not this game one though. Not this game one. No, that was not happening. I mean, impressive performance from um, Marco there at the top lane on the Aatrox, as well as Stunner on the Syndra and Marshall on this Trundle. I mean, these guys are standing out to me a lot when you kind of just look at the straight scoreboards. Um, on the other side of things, the same with Posse in this game one. We see the Nautilus picked up, and I'm not a fan of the build here, War. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think if you're gonna go jungle Nautilus, you should just go for the Leandries in the build, and then go into tank items from there. I understand the idea of trying to nerf the healing on Aatrox and some of the healing for this Trundle, but you're also building armor and giving him just um, free, off his subjugate, right? Free stats. So I think not that you're saying you should build none, but maybe early on in the build, go for a little more damage. You'd be surprised how much damage Nautilus does coming out that jungle. His E is kind of cracked. So
I want to kick back on it because I think my my issue just looking at the game one draft is I don't I think if you go AP, there's not enough in front of Yunar early enough to like really play through it. Um
so I get what you're
so
saying, but like the thing is, if you're if if you're coming with the Nautilus jungle and you want the fastest version of his clear, um, you really do just want that damage. On top of that, his damage is kind of cracked. Like it really is. That E damage is insane. E max fucking Nautilus jungle with Leandries, it's not right. Um, and Yunar's gonna be fine. Plus, he's still gonna be tanky. W is gonna give him tank stats. He's not gonna be one shotable by this syndrome by no means. If that's like a concern, sure there's still Trundle, but Trundle's not getting any real stats off of him at that point. So they can just turn and just kill the Trundle too, even with subjugate on. So, but
mm, I don't know. We can agree to disagree. Like my issue is if you're going to go tank Nautilus, I think you need a higher damage mid than what Mel brings to the table. Um so that way you have a two frontline, two damage back threat with like a utility support. Um, and that's where I think it it lacked was just it wasn't that Ghost Tiger didn't have a great game. Like he had a fantastic game on the Mel, but Mel as a champion in general just doesn't scale very well. And overall doesn't bring the amount of damage uh, as far as a magic damage thing. But yeah, as you noted, Marco was like the highlight of this game, and One Handed definitely got a very rude introduction to the Sweat League here
Yeah.
overall in this game one.
Yeah, and even with that said, once again, the early game and same way Napasi was fighting back relatively well here. Um, I wonder if that's going to be the trend this week. With the worst team, they're in this situation, and what I mean by that is like they come out with the loss, right? And then maybe on paper they might not be as strong as the other team. Um, like just kind of losing later on in the game, but not really losing as hard early. Um, which is a good thing in terms of the ability to stay in the game for the first 15 minutes. But you have to be able to come out of this. If you're a good team, you have to come out of this and be able to compete for the team fights and for the objectives, right? And have good macro. Um, so just something that is kind of sticking out to me is like, oh, like this team is getting outperformed in the mid game and late game very heavily, and it's like it makes sense because they have players that aren't as strong individually, right? So, meaning like a lower understanding of good macro and um, even good micro for that matter, right? Because team fighting is a micro game, so it just kind of sticks out to me, at least in these first two games or two series.
Yeah, yeah, I think this overall this week one, you could definitely tell where there's some sloppy moments with every single team, and there's a lot of teams and a lot of smart players out there that are going to take a lot of information away from it. But overall, Vancouver's always been a very solid, very consistent team, and this game one kind of showcased that. I mean, Marco, the solo laners, really, really were allowed to do what they needed to do.
Yep.
The two tanks that you drafted for Insane Banana just don't have the most amount of backline access. Yeah, you're playing front to back, but into Trundle Syndra, Aatrox where you're walking into them, that's a tough ask there.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Um, they stayed in the game for as long as they could, but eventually the gold lead kind of ballooned. Once it ballooned, it's nearly impossible to play. Playing down inhibitors, of course, too, and then into a Baron buff. I mean, they hadn't acquired Soul yet, but I'm sure that was eventually going to be on the table to do. I think they were able to win the game without it. So yeah, they did it on that Baron push, the first Baron of the game. So um, the pocket the pockets got too fat, man, and too hard to play through that. So,
Yeah,
but we can jump into game two, which game two, hey, this Insane Banana Posse gets their chance to shine, right? And it's not like they don't have obviously very good players on the team. Um, here's more of I'd say a relatively more standard draft from them. In terms of like you're not like Nautilus jungle isn't huge right now, although I do think it's strong. It's not like crazy in the meta. So you get the J4, right? All right, you get a easy to perform jungler. You have nice setup with the Seraphine and the Wukong. Wukong top isn't like huge pick these days, but I do love what that's going to provide. I mean, you have a great team fight comp, sets up the Kassadin and the Xayah well. On the other side, Vancouver. I think their draft is good too. You're good at splitting up the fights. You have the ability to not only wall people off, but also take them to the Shadow Realm, which is really nice if you're just trying to divide the fight and get these like 4v2, 4v3 situations. Um, so I think that comp they drafted on the Vancouver's makes sense when you're playing against like a team fight heavy comp. Um, and then also like Rel is just a massive champion for setting that up. Though doesn't look like Coco had the game there. 10 and 14, so the Rel did not like have a lot of fun. It appears, but I can imagine Lane was probably pretty insufferable early on for that Rel. I mean, you're into mage, so or enchanter, I should say, not mage, and obviously an 80 carry with some range. Uh, do you have any kind of takes on draft or kind of going into this game too here?
Yeah, the draft kind of tomfoolery that went around. You have the Cassidy pick, thinking that this is Pantheon Jungle Talia mid, but then they flexed it, and Stunner ended up taking this Pantheon mid against Ghost Tigers Kassadin, and then Insane Bananas, who is, you know, one of the most creative teams we've had in the server like ever. They just said, okay, if you're gonna do that, then we're just gonna lane swap and swap mid and top here. So as much as hey, welcome to the Sweat League one-handed gaming. Last game one-handed said, okay, now we're playing Sweat League, and he ran this early game over. Got a very early first blood onto Stunner's Pantheon. Note Stunner brought Ignite to this lane too. And then the combination of one-handed, who obviously snowballed the early game and had a lot of really great Wukong alts, but Thresh all day. I've subbed against this bot lane before, the original Insane Banana, when he's played Seraphine. I've seen this guy play Seraphine so many times. Just the ults and the angles that he fires his ult at to make sure he's getting everybody is just insane. And this game was just a massive showcase for that, which they needed it, by the way. The fact that Marco yet again was getting a big lead into this Kassadin was very was a warning, that it was very, very difficult to deal with, considering what they drafted. But they hung on through Thresh, through one-handed, and the bot lane got rolling, and eventually Kassadin just got to Kassadin status, a level 16, got 3 items, and could basically just like suicide dive the bot lane, or the back line in these team fights. And that was kind of just how this game went. The Talia Pantheon combo, I know it's a fantastic combo akin to like Vi Ari, and I would almost say like it's this splits version of Vi Ari. I think there's a lot of teams that are not being as proactive as they can. And I don't say that as like an insult or as a flame, but it's just like, trying to sync up jungle and mid ults in a roam. You have a lot less windows than you do, say, if you like queued up for a solo queue game and found this. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I also took away from week one, was there was a lot of like global alts in the form of Pantheon, Talia, and there's a lot of teams that just need to just get more comfortable with that. Pressing W and then hitting people with Talia rocks is simple, but then getting the most out of those champions in the sense of the ult is where I think teams can definitely greatly improve on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I'm seeing that, and I understand why they went for the comp they did. I mean, Pantheon is really, really good into Kassadin, so that was I'm sure the plan. Um, but with that said, like, what an interesting situation to have, and the wherewithal to say, hey, let's make that swap and set this up, and then make it hard on the Pantheon to do Pantheon things. And because of that, I do think, like, though you said like they might have missed some opportunities, there also might not have been as many because the Pantheon was struggling early on in the game for a bit there. So kind of stopped some of the movement. Uh, but even that being said, he still made plays with the Talia, right? So, um, Talia jungle though is very interesting to me. We don't see it much these days. I'm kind of surprised to see it get uh, locked in here. I feel like she should be fine to cast early on, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. And Pantheon jungle, it does it does well, but it always loses to Wukong. So, um, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Like, maybe just maybe just don't fall for baits. I don't know. They got you baited. Just baited in the pick phase.
Look, I like both teams just trying to figure out ways of getting advantages,
Hmm.
even after the draft and the lane setups and all that. So I was definitely down with a lot this game, and going into the late game, it just became kind of the Cassidy show. Eventually, he could stand toe to toe with Mordekaiser, and could one and two shot the back line, specifically Marshall and Chiros.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, what a hard fought game. I mean, back and forth constantly. I mean, you see Insane Banana Posse sitting here on Soul Point for a bit. They end up getting Soul. Kind of want to watch the Soul fight. Is that it's literally right after the Otacon? Okay, so let me like watch the Otacon fully here. To see kind of what happens. Can I just watch the beginning of? Or the Otacon was already gone. Okay, so this wasn't even a fight over the Otacon. Never mind. This was just a straight up a fight over the Soul spawning in 15 seconds. Yeah, able to get that pick on the Talia. Really well played there. And then once the fight kind of broke out from that, you see just Crackler getting to free fire on the rest of the team. Nothing to really stop him from doing what he wants to do. And then, of course, like you said, Cassidy getting to do some Cassidy things. So, um, but yeah, get that soul. And the game still lasted a while after the soul. Did we get a full Elder Drake fight?
I don't. I'll be honest. I think we did at one point, but I think Elder was taken by Vancouver, and then Insane Banana just kept sticking around and staying in this game. Crackler, again with Ghost Tiger's help, really really like kind of extended this game because it just they didn't have enough hard engage to get to this Zaya, and then Zaya's of course has her ult to play around. So
Yeah, and I mean, what a big catch here. They're able to kill the Cassidon, and they're able to kill the J4. J4 kind of overstepping around like 30 minutes or so. And then that appears to be why they get the Elder buff, right? Um, yeah, a bit of a mistake. I mean, I think if they play it a little slower there with the double inhibitors takes, they can just force them into a bad situation at Elder Drake, or just take that for free and could have ended the game sooner. So this was probably pretty close to being a 2-0 if things go a little differently for Vancouver. But yeah, still well played to Insane Banana Posse overall on the game. Um, but yeah, that play was definitely a bit risky, right? They almost got punished for it.
yeah, Ghost Tiger was kind of splitting during that whole Elder push there at around the 33 minutes, which I think getting the spot inhib is what kind of just kept at least a minion wave pushing for them. So then they didn't really feel like they had to overload a lane and then forfeit a different lane.
Right. Yeah, and I mean I think it's very impressive. Like they fought through the Elder, were able to get a favorable fight here. I'm trying to figure out when the fight happens. I think it's so you said 33 minutes he's split pushing, so it has to happen around this point. Um, I'm kind of seeing what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? If a team has this buff, like you don't want to force any fights because it could mean you just straight up lose the game so quickly. But them getting caught off guard by this Kassadin, I see War find a nice little amount of damage here on a Choros, nearly killing him himself. These small little details were very very impactful, and then it's just simply waiting out the Elder buff, right? And you can team fight after that. So
Hmm. Yeah, and then they kind of ended it shortly afterwards. There was a little bit of disjointedness from Vancouver's comp. Kakoa got kind of caught out, and Marco was allowed to ult Crackler and take him to the death realm, but once he came out, he just got
go
so much damage.
go watch that that Seraphine all at like 33 minutes and like 20 seconds. I don't know how in the world that hit onto Marshall. That seems a little questionable, man.
So 33-20.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed highly questionable. Oh my goodness. This Mordekaiser almost went off, man. So close.
Also, the Seraphine ult got extended by the Wukong clone, and then got extended by him.
It extends off of teammates? I didn't know that.
Yes, the Seraphine ult does extend off teammates.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yep, it extends off Wukong clones, off of Alawi spirits that she pulls with the E, Shaco ult clones, like anything that's counted as a champion will extend it, ally or enemy.
That's broken. It's broken. Get rid of it. I'm kidding. It's not broken, but that's interesting. I did not know that. What a crazy fight,
Yeah.
by the way. The Mordekaiser nearly was able to turn that fight too with Elder buff, but yeah, really good game here by Insane Banana Posse picking up the game two victory, and then we get ourselves into a game three, right? I don't know if this was the first game three of the weekend or not, or the second, because there were two 3 game series that went the distance. But nonetheless, here we are in a game three, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and in the end, like shocking as it might be to some, I mean, Insane Banana Posse are going to pick up the series, right? Um, I think I'm very impressed with them. I think Vancouver Impact Challengers was a very great team last split. I think they played phenomenally well, and someone I would have considered coming to the split to be a highly rated team. So to see Insane Banana Posse with, you know, one-handed gaming in the top lane, who I know is not the most highest rated player as far as elo, come in and do this, very very impressive. I mean, the rest of the 4 other members are very good players, and I'm not saying one-handed gaming is not a good player. I just going to preface this because these players are coming from Rec League, and we kind of talked about the Capachungas, so that makes it even more impressive to me to be able to pull this series off against this team. What did you kind of see here from this game three?
So this game three was a, a little chaotic, but mainly for me, Ghost Tiger on this Silas. This was kind of his. Let me reintroduce myself a little bit to the league here because he had a fantastic performance on the Silas. But also, I still have to give props to One Handed. Um, they left his setup, and I mean, if you've watched the Rec League, you know that this guy, like, this is his signature champion. This is what he loves to play. He always seems to get the most amount of value out of his W. Like, the only person I've seen play set at like at this level and just showcase a mastery on this champion is like Havoc. And then Havoc is an insane set player when he's allowed to play it. But One Handed will, like, he's one of those mains where he'll play it into the worst of matchups, and he's like, I love this champion, and I'm going to try and body you with it. So Marco had advantages in the laning phase, which is natural for mid, or I'm sorry, for range versus melee. But um, there was a few fights where Set was just zoning people off and just tanking a lot of damage and being just a super threatening like bruiser and fighter.
Yeah,
Um, Crackler got off to an insane start in this early game. If I remember correctly, he was like 4-0 or 5-0 on this Jinx, and Crackler, he has an affinity for this champion. Every time he plays this champion, he just spaces really well. Like, this is just his style of champion. And then the Morgana jungle, I thought, was like the clutch draft pick for Insane Banana here, because there's not much you're gonna be able to do into this Morgana jungle as like a Nocturne, Kennen, Maokai. Like, just
right.
Black Shield has so much value here.
Yeah, and then Morgana jungle too, which is very interesting to see. Once again, we saw Morgana mid. Now we're seeing the Morgana jungle. Two different series here. Morgana's making her presence felt early on in this split. Um, but yeah, I mean, early game just went so hard in favor of Insane Banana Posse. They were pretty much winning almost every single lane early on. I mean, when that happens, it's kind of hard to play through the game, no matter what champs you have. Of course, there is a world where Vancouver, with their setup, can play this game, right? You've got Kennen, you've got Nocturne, Ziggs, and Trist. That setup there alone is amazing. You add a Maokai in there, my God, my I'm sorry, guys. You had a Maokai in there, and it goes absolutely wild with the amount of flanking and big team fight alties and just damage pumping out you're gonna have. But before you get to that level 6, you're hard to play the game, right? I think a lot of these champions kits don't rely on their level 6s. Not even set. Like all of them are cool with just playing it out early on and just skirmishing you with just their simple abilities. So, um, if you're the side of uh, Vancouver, I think they just need to play a slower early game, and that would have boded well for them. But due to this game getting out of hand quickly, uh, it kind of snowballed a bit. But even with that said, somehow it ended up being a 38-minute game. That's the
Yeah,
other crazy part.
for the side of Vancouver, I honestly thought it was going to be Tristana bot Ziggs mid. I know we've seen some Ziggs mid players come out this week as well. As myself, I am a merchant of the Ziggs mid, but it's just I'm not a fan of Kennen. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't. It's not Vex level bad, but like to me, I think Kennen was played 3 games this week. One, two that I can think of, but there was probably a third one that I'm not remembering. Um, where just like Kennen just doesn't really do much. I don't. I think this champion's countered by exhaust and countered by just good frontline play, and I'm not seeing it.
Yeah,
Overall, Ziggs wants something beefy in front of it, and the set pick kind of just counters that because you're going to pelt it back into your own team. And I don't know. I'm not. I see the theory behind the draft. You know, Kennen Nocturne Ziggs. You turn the lights off and you can't see where the ults are coming from. But I don't know. I'm not a Kennen believer right now.
yeah. I mean, the best play setup he gets, it is going to be obviously off of flank. And with the lights off, it's harder to just exhaust him. But like you said, exhaust comes down on him, and it's so hard to play the game. So, um, I kind of get what you're saying, but I think Kennan's a fine champ. I just think the early game went so awry for this team. Even then, they kind of stuck around and hung around long enough to get this game into 38 minutes, which kind of begs the question: did we have ourselves another Elder game? I'm assuming we probably did, or maybe not. Wait, two Drakes to two Drakes at 29 minutes. Okay, we did not go Elder.
I don't think this one got to Elder. I think
No.
it got to Soul, but it did not go the distance with
The
Elder.
fact that I just clicked somewhere, it's 31 kills to 19, but the gold is the exact same, is crazy. And I just see that Insane Banana Posse is missing an inhibitor, and that's part of the reason why there's the turret difference. League of Legends is a wild game the way it works now because there was a time if it was 31 kills to 19, you had a huge lead, you know. Um, kills are just not they're not like irrelevant, but they're not what they used to be. The comeback gold is just it's almost unfair, man.
Shutdowns are insane right now.
Shutdowns, comeback gold on turrets and objectives. It's just too much.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, hats off to Insane Banana Posse. I was gonna see what the ending fight was real quick, and then we can move on to the next series here. Which, by the way, um, CLT, we didn't even get Soul.
No, it didn't.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fight. So Kennan's gonna get picked here first. We're talking about around 37 minutes or so. I'm gonna see when Kennan gets picked off, and then they're gonna fight over the soul itself, but it's going to be acquired by Vancouver here. So Vancouver gets the Drake, and you're like, okay, so it's probably playable, but you're missing your Kennen. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming what's gonna happen is we're gonna go to the Drake, we're gonna fight over it, everyone's pretty much gonna die, and that's how the game ends. If only Kennen didn't get picked. I wonder if in that situation you even fight over the Drake.
Okay, so the thing that actually derailed this whole team fight, I think, was oh, never mind. It wasn't what I thought it was. I thought the Nocturne ult was Ghost Tiger stealing the ult so Kennen couldn't TP,
Oh.
but that was not the case. Actually, I got a little hyped there for nothing. But yeah, Kennen getting picked off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it kind of made it a little messy. We do see a TP in from Set here over the walls to get into the fight, and gets a beautiful flank, nice E, multiple members. So a really nice setup here for one-handed gaming, and then everybody kind of just gets taken out. Yeah, so you get the Drake and you stop the soul, but you lose the game. So unfortunate. I think if Kennen was up there at that moment, it definitely would have been a different fight.
hmm
So, but GG to Insane Banana Posses, getting their first victory of the split, beating Vancouver. So that is going to lead us into Scorch versus Hidden Leaf. So, which this one is not tracked. We do have to use the screenshots. Okay, that's fine. I mean,
interesting.
nothing makes sense anymore.
Well, this is the one that was given screenshots.
Yeah, right.
Uh, Damn it, Battlefly.
Just the absolute worst. Fire Battlefy. So this was the other three, a series that went to 3 games all the way. Um,
Yep.
as we can see, we got Rusty here on his patent Sejuani. Looks like a really great game from him. We've changed names, so I don't know what everybody is now on Ashira because they've changed some names. But we'll go with their current names here. So we've got Akaza here playing the jungle Zyra, which I do believe they played that last split as well. So was that Toby Rama was the jungler, right? It was Toby Rama.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Toby Rama, and so that's obviously the new name I'm thinking because he definitely played that last split. Um, I'm seeing some. I don't know what they're going for because with some of these names because some of these are definitely not going to be related to that anime that they currently are on. Right? Isn't Star-
I
I think
I'm not.
Stark isn't Stark Arya Stark a character from Game of Thrones?
It is a character from Game of Thrones, and I actually think that's the only name that wasn't changed
Yeah, I don't know.
between last split and this split. I do
Exactly.
believe they are the same. They are the same players, and I believe the lineups are the same. They just obviously they're big anime fans, and with Demon Slayer movie being out, which was a fantastic movie by the way, that's kind of what they themed after it. So, and yeah, this Zyra Jungle, I've been on the receiving end of this Zyra Jungle. Actually, they play the Zyra Jungle very well, and there's not a lot of things you can do into it, but Scorch found what you need to play into it. Um, there's a lot of damage mitigation coming out from the Pantheon, from Calico's utility out of the Milio. Rusty never really got too far behind, but never dove like deep enough that he was tanking the full force of the damage. And Bananasaur on his patented Xerath, uh, while had some struggles in the early game, there were 2 to 3 fights where Bananasaur literally just opened up and would full ult 100 to 0 somebody, whether that was Guillaume, Akuza, or Arya. I think he quit targeting Arya in the late game when on hit Varus does get some resistances. But I do distinctively remember one fight where Akuza he got 100 to 0 by like 4 out of 5 Xerath ult charges hitting, and then in his death he immediately bought like a Seeker's Arm Guard. He's like, screw this shit. And then he just started aiming at Guillaume. So this was Scorch really grinding out this game one. I think Ares, in my opinion, probably had some of the more proactive ults out of the week 1 Pantheons we got to see here. But Giyu also, I mean, he held his own in lane. And I got nothing but respect for Ares as a top laner. I think top laner in this league is overall like one of the strongest roles we have. So the fact that he held his own and even got a few licks in to Ares, was impressive. But this game just got the late game, and then late game Zareth when you have no way of getting on top of him, he just creates so much pressure and so much damage that's what kind of ultimately led to Scorch grinding this game out and winning.
Yeah, definitely the range matters here. They have a range advantage pretty much across the board. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not Sejuani into Zyra, but is she outrange virus or no? I mean, auto attack wise at least, right?
Uh, lethality Varus, she obviously does not, but on hit Varus, I think their ranges are pretty comparable. I think for me, it's just Sivir has so much wave clear
Yeah, that's very true.
that between her and Xerath, they can stall a game
Very
quite a
easily.
quite
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah. You need Baron to really make it hard on them.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, if you're, it's really hard to face check as a Zyra here, right? You constantly need your Braum around. You constantly need your Sion around to do so. And it appears anytime that the Zyra walked in first, the Zyra was getting popped. And then if that wasn't happening, you're like you said, you're getting Zero ulted from a mile away and just dying. So not an easy Zyra game, I would say. And also, I even though like he looks like he's doing well in the game early on, I'm trying to think to myself like, is that still like that good of a pick here overall? Like Zyra jungle, it seems like a I don't know.
It was picked pretty early, and I think Scorch had one of the better responses I've seen to it. Because when I was on the receiving end of it, we did not. So uh, yeah,
Oh my goodness,
Xerath.
I'm watching the Otacon fight and Zyra just draining people's lives and
Yeah,
killing the Zyra. Jeez
yep,
Louise.
yeah. Zyra had to play some DDR here to try and dodge the Xerath ults, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to deal with. But yeah, I mean, well played here by Scorch early on to get themselves into an advantage in the series. Um, a very back and forth heavy game. I'm gonna look here for the end of the game here. Gonna see what happens. We do get a Mountain Soul. A Mountain Soul for Pantheon Sejuani sounds pretty annoying to deal with.
Hmm. And also, I noted Rusty's build. Him getting this locket was, I actually think, like super smart out of him. I know he's one of the few junglers that'll dip into like supportive items, and locket I think is so valuable here.
Yeah, I never think it's a really early item for most junglers, but I do think like in this circumstance, like a fourth or fifth item from Sejuani, I think it's perfectly fine. Especially if you have a enchanter support that maybe doesn't prefer to build the locket. Also, it provides tank stats. It's not like it's completely useless as a tank jungler here, right? So, um, I don't recommend building it on stuff like Jin Zhao or J4 or Pantheon, but yeah, if you're playing, these tanky junglers, Sejuani, um, Maokai's after I know they're gonna get Leandries, but after that they go tank, right? Uh, I would even say maybe a Mumu could pull it off. These type of champions, like you're
Yeah,
fine with it. So, but yeah, it just looks like a really nice pick here onto the Syndra, and then the game just kind of ends from there. Xerath gets to play from a million miles away. Fun game, fun game.
yeah. It didn't look fun once Scorch kind of got ahead. Also, like you mentioned, Mountain Soul. This is a triple Mountain Drake Sejuani, by the way.
Yeah, good
Like,
luck with that.
yeah, with passive, I think she might have over 400 tank stats
Yep.
on both armor and MR.
But with all that said, I mean we can hop in here into game two. So game two here we've got uh, unfortunately Scorch falling here in this game two here. Um, Wukong and Yunara getting picked up. So Yunara, I think, is kind of fallen out of favor a little bit. Like she's not as strong as she was, but I think still with a good comp setup and things in front of her, kind of like we were talking about earlier, to allow her to hit, she can still be a very very strong late game AD carry. And as you see, Stark was able to have a really phenomenal performance, 8-3 to 8. And then you see the Wukong being very, very strong as it's been most of the season. And now that we've gotten away from, the Jin Zhaos and Pantheons being as OP as they once were, the Wukong has found more favor and is a very strong pick. So if you can get it in a series, you usually have a high chance of winning with it. Um, and again, 8 and 2 and 10 on this Wukong for Akaza is very good. And then Guillaume, a really nice Rise game, and Rise has found a ton of favor. I'm expecting to continue to see a lot of Rise over the split. So really just a nice comp draft here by the Hashira. And on the other side, it wasn't really like the comp was horrible, but you are trying to play a little bit of forward into a comp that I think just does that better than you. I think there's the anti-engage with the Bard, and then it's just like the re-engage with Malphite Wukong. I don't see Scorch's comp being able to play in this game, and it doesn't look like they got to play very much this game.
Nah, no. The Hashira had a lot of go buttons, and once they got a lead and started scaling a little bit, it just felt like Scorch could never fully commit to a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
When you had Ares had some nice moments on this Gnar overall, but if Gnar's like the tankiest thing that's in your team comp, and even then he's not really itemizing that tanky,
Mm-hmm.
it just becomes really, really hard. Even the few go buttons that they had, you're going into mobility in the sense of Yanara, and then Rise, who can just be tanky as hell.
Yeah,
So
phase rush out of there.
yeah,
He will warp out of there if he needs to. Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, it definitely is an issue with the mobility a bit. Magical Journey is a thing as well. I just want to point out, Bananasaur, what hell of an outplay there at like 3 minutes 50 seconds or so. That was insane.
yeah,
On the tower dive. um, Barrier OP. Uh, yeah, but yeah, mobility is mobility creep, man. Another thing. Welcome to League of Legends. J4 though does have a lot of value here because the thing about Yanara is she can't do the dash without her ult, and Rise can only realm warp out, right? So if they're locked in the cage, if their carries are locked in, like you're happy with that. Now of course if Bard is in there with them, it'll just magical journey out of the J4 Cataclysm, but otherwise, like I do think that pick actually works out well. It's just that there's so much anti-engage and then re-engage that I find it hard for the rest of the comp to play without more getting in there with the J4. Like I think if J4 had something else that could get in there with them, and I'm not talking Gnar, like maybe like I don't know, a Leona, maybe a Nautilus even. I mean, just something else that could get in there with J4. I think it's a better setup for him because you really need to lock down a target and blow them up quick.
yeah. You can kind of see how these two team comps interact here at around the 23-minute, where it's an Otacon fight. And I know Rusty went for the steal on the Dragon, but I don't think they expected them to really like grind out this Otacon as much as they did, and then Malphite ult just found the angle to take out Calico, and they chased down I think Bootstra. Yeah, so it it that was kind of just all she wrote there. I just think the Hashira's comp had a lot of tools.
Yeah, I mean, your jungler gonna get popped before the fight kind of sucks. Also, uh, the Bard barely living on like 100 HP is so unfortunate for Bananasaur. Um, so
Yeah, but there were some good moments from Scorch out of this. Yeah, it's not like they got rolled, but yeah, this team comp, I think, if we say that Scorch had a good answer for what the Hashira had game one, I think they battled back and answered really well into Scorch this game too.
yeah, and a Furnace Soul helps too. Right.
That it does.
Yeah, that does. Um, yeah, I mean, I think most of the time Soul is gonna win you a lot of games. If you're able to get that, Drake advantages are huge. Um, if you can acquire them. So uh, yeah, I mean, like you said, they did their best to stay in this game, but unfortunately, I think it was just really came down to a comp diff at the end of the day. Like, it was an uphill battle for Scorch through this whole entire this game, in my opinion, because of that. So you just blame the coach, whoever the coach is that drafted this stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Fire him.
Yeah.
So nice win here by Hashira. So we'll get into game three and finish out this group A here. So we have a bit of a bit of a rough game here for Scorching Game Three. I think this is probably their worst performance of the series, um, and I would argue it's Hashira's maybe best performance of the series. So coming out in the game three, that's good. That's a very good sign. It means that you guys are definitely here in battle hardened already for these games. Going the distance is never easy, and being able to pull it out always feels good, but it shows good fortitude. Uh, but yeah, I mean, you got the Hawaii here. Looks like the Hawaii did very very well. 7-1-10 for Shark. Um, Uzi uh, had a really, really, really nice Thresh game. You don't see a lot of Thresh, right? I mean, we only know a couple Threshes that kind of stick out um, for us in the past. So, nice Thresh game here. Um, but overall, I mean, the whole team looked like they performed very, very well for the side of the Hashira. Do you have any takes here on Game 3, CLT? Anything?
Yeah, Boonstra. If this was an impossible game for him to play because this Hui bot was just insane to deal with. Um, I getting 2 kills early onto Boonstra, having him back with the scout slingshot while Hui had Amp Tome plus Lost Chapter was like just it was a really rough game from the word go for the
Yeah.
Scorch bot lane.
And
But
another big thing is the Renata, though, I mean, Renata always has value. The Renata ult here, like, I don't think it's as powerful. Like, it's going to be good for the CC aspect of it all, but nobody on the side of the Hero is really going to kill each other, you know?
yeah,
And that matters a lot here. Like, maybe Vi can chunk your AD carry low, or, well, in this scenario, your AP carry. That's the only auto attacker, really, that does auto attack damage. So, it's very interesting to think about here.
yeah. There was a lot of proactiveness between the top side of the map of the Hashira. You have a lot of Ori set up with Vi and Mbessa. I talked about it in the first series where those are two champions that are like combo starters,
Yeah.
and Oriana definitely is a very very good champion to pair with them. This Olaf pick I thought was ingenious in the draft. If Olaf was just in a better state, there was a couple of fights where Ares did his job and was zoning out the backline, but he still had to walk through so much shit to get to them.
Yeah.
Uh, in the sense of Arya laying down the red carpet on Hui, and then there was a deceiving amount of utility as well when you have Locket, Thresh Shield, even the slows a little bit, Ori shields and speed ups after the ult delivery. So there was nothing really complimenting this Olaf outside of the Renata, and that's not really going to be enough to carry a game. But no, this was kind of from the word go. The Hashiras Scorch did have a fight where Ares I think pulled off like a triple kill where he got to the back line, but immediately the Hashira built grievous wounds, and then the Olaf just instantly died. I think the next 2 fights, and they ended up taking this game 3.
Did you have a marker on that triple kill by chance?
I'm trying to go through and catch it real quick. It might have not been a triple, but I do remember Ares having a moment in this game.
Well, I'm 18 minutes in and still haven't seen nothing, but I don't see any anti-heal, so maybe it's a little further up.
Oh, where's it at?
It had to have happened after Otacon. I want to see this Olaf going off.
Um, was it there? Was
Are you sure it happened? Because the old office is 1-3 at this point. What's the score line? Let me check a score line. 1-5-1. There was no triple kill. Stop lying to me.
there wasn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hey guys, sorry. CLT false advertising.
I gaslighted. Sorry.
Yeah. Nonetheless,
So,
well played by the Hashira, picking up the series win, and let's see if Scorch can battle back. They didn't miss playoffs the previous split here, and they have been historically a team that makes the playoffs. And it's going to be certainly not an easy group to get out of. We'll see what they have and what they can pull off here. With that said, we can hop into Group B for the first series over there, which is going to be the Ninja Turks versus Team 3. Um, this was one that I was able to cast myself on that Saturday when I was dying. Um, I don't know why this keeps moving around. Yeah, so the thing that stuck out to me a lot was lead on this Lee Sin, man. He or led or lead, whatever. Let me know if you watch this, brother. How you want me to pronounce it. But yeah, he had a very phenomenal performance on Lee Sin. It was very very clean. We don't see a lot of people play Lee Sin, but when they do, there's sometimes some bit of rough performances. But this was one where he definitely carried the game on the champion here. Uh, had a hell of a performance. On the other side, like this early game, I thought Team 3 was playing pretty well. I thought they had a shot in the game. Um, Zelda was very very fed. I think like he was 4-1 on this Vel'Koz at one point, if I remember correctly. But unfortunately, that just wasn't enough. Um, and I don't know particularly like what it was about this like Vel'Koz that couldn't get take that lead and turn it, because to me there was nothing that could freely jump on him. I mean, I guess sure you could say the Rakan, but I think you have decent setup to stop the Rakan from getting in, right? You have Poppy W to make it hard for him to find the engages, but unfortunately Souls was not able to really set that up well um, for the disengage. Um, and yeah, once the Lee Sin got fed, man, the game kind of disappeared. And Sam Ladd was no slouch on this Hue either. Did die a decent amount, but he was definitely doing the deeps.
doing the deeps. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't disagree. No, I think Zelda had a very fine game. I think Yakko actually had a quietly a very good game as well. But yeah, this Lee Sin just kind of had his way all over the map, and there wasn't much Team 3 could do to stop them. Even though they had the Poppy at support, I I don't know. I know Souls has played some support, but he finished the rec league at top lane and played that whole split there. But I also know playing with and casting quite a few of the rec league games. Big Bird, as I called him in the bot lane, he's not really known to be like a caster AD carry player. Like, doesn't really play the Misfortune, the Jins, the Ezreals. Like, his specialty kind of lies in the stand your grounds. We've seen stuff like the Kog'Maws, the Yanaros, the Vaynes come out of him. So I question if this was the right draft to play when your bot lane is not synergizing well and
Right.
there's a sub there. So I don't that's kind of where it kind of stood out for me. It's just the bot lane just didn't have the greatest game for Team 3.
Yeah. I will point out, I don't think the bullet times were like anything great this game, and that's not knocking as you call him Big Bird. It's more just stating like they just and he never got the proper setups for him, which is kind of strange because
There's
J4
no
exists.
setup. They didn't
Well,
draft him any
you
setup.
have J4, like J4 MF is a known combo, but
Yeah, but Hui's the only one that can't get out of the J4 ult. So
true.
it's
This is true. This is true.
there's not enough setup there for it. My
Yeah,
opinion.
and that goes to another point here. Really, I think it was a Lee Sin counter pick into the J4 too, which is solid, right? That's it's always been historically a good pick. But yeah, I mean, it was just basically Team Three. They held their own early, and that's why I kind of brought up what I brought up earlier about like the worst teams on paper. Really, um, they lose this early, or they do okay in this early game, and then everything falls apart in the mid game. It happened a lot, I think, over this week, and that could be a little bit because they're still learning how to play together. I know, even though like Team Three is technically kind of a returning team, there is a couple kind of more newer members, and that specifically is the bot lane. Now Alves was, I'm sorry, not Alves, but Souls was just subbing, like you stated. But I know their support is also new on the roster, so that does have some impact for sure. Um, but yeah, Lee just he was leading charge this game. He was the man. He had a really disgusting kick, and I wish I remember exactly what it was. I was looking at a Drake. It's a beautiful setup. I think he had like a multi-man knockup with it. If I could find it, I don't remember exactly where it was at. I should have noted it in my notes somewhere. But nonetheless, that's kind of my takeaway on this game. Like there wasn't anything that really like stood out and like popped out besides just really nice performances. Um, I do think Ninja Turtles having themselves a really nice start to the split is always wonderful to see. They are the now best 1-0 team in the league. So all hail the Ninja Turtles. Anyways, I'm kidding, guys. Uh, they're the best 1-4 team, but yeah, they're not the best 1-0 team. I don't know who is the best 1-0 team. So, but yeah, they looked really really good, and I'm happy they did because we had a hard time last split in that group. That group of undeniable death for those who crossed them. I'll go ahead and jump here into game two. Sorry, we are going to start moving along a little quicker, guys. We got to get out of here soon to cast the series. So we'll go ahead and jump into game two. Now, game two, it was it was kind of similar in the early game. I feel like there was some like bright spots for Team Three. They were getting kind of strong on this Jin pick, right? Like, and now that you kind of bring it up, I do think he performed better on the Jin than the MF for sure. It even shows in the score line, but they weren't able to do enough with it, and eventually, like Tango Fish just became this unkillable Ezreal that just chopped everybody down like a tree. Uh, it was kind of insane, a really insane Ezreal performance, and I didn't realize how much damage he actually did. He did 50k damage in this game. Insane, by the way. That's not even right. So that's kind of like you can kind of see where this went. Um, Yak was having a nice game top early on. He was beating the Mbessa, but unfortunately some ganks kind of switched that up, and once Swaggin' on Mom, which is their actual top laner, Bufa, right? I think is his actual name of his account.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So he once he was able to get help and got the advantage in lane, he never like looked back on the Simbessa. Um, but yeah, I mean, there was just seemed to be no answer for Ezreal. And when I look at the draft, there actually is nothing that stops him from playing the game except for maybe an Nautilus. But then there's a Bard. So if you like jump on him with the death charge, you're like, oh, we're gonna get this Ezreal, we're gonna kill him, and they're just gonna Bard ult him, and then he's gonna come out of the Bard ult and either flash or arcane shift away, and then what do you do? So that was something to point out. Also, Nexus, I forgot Nexus. That flash Q is insane to start the game. Oh,
yeah. Nexus looked like he was having some fun on the Rakan game one, and then this Bard game two.
yeah, he
So
had an awesome series, which I'm so happy for him because we kind of talked a little bit outside of the stream because I wasn't feeling well, but I jumped in the call and talked to both teams a little bit. And I told Nexus, and he even agreed. Like this was kind of a series where he kind of got to showcase himself more than like he did last split. But he definitely had some pop off performances in these games. So I was really really impressed with him, and I'm very happy for him. As you all know, like at least I think most of you do know he helped a lot during the rec league. Uh, Originally, it was me and him doing the Midwest Weekly, and then CLT and him took over, and he did a bunch of series casting. I know he cast one of the series as well on Saturday. So I'm just happy to see him have success, man. It's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah. They casted a series after playing this.
yeah, he did do that. Yeah, he did do that. Originally, I was gonna try to cast, but man, even
We can
now,
hear it.
yeah, you guys can hear now. Like I'm struggling. Like I've literally spent the whole week going from trying to play my series, feeling like crap, and I didn't even say nothing to like. We're gonna get to my series. This is not an excuse for how I played. It's just like you go from that, then you're trying to like cast a series, and you're like, do you feel dead? All the while, I was still working all week, right, guys? I'm just like, man, I can't catch a break. Now at least I know what's wrong with me though, so I'll get the proper antibiotics and be able to get better. So that's what's important.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't have too much else to say from this game. Like I said, I would love to be able to stay on it longer, but was there anything you had to say about the series, CLT?
No, I think kind of similar to all the other series. Both teams are going to take away quite a bit from this, and for team, I just think it's coming down to just the draft. I noticed in these two games again, very small sample size, but they're just not they're not bringing a lot of CC to the table, and I feel like as they play more together, they're going to understand what comps work best for them, and
Yep.
learn take away from these games. So
I agree. I agree. But yeah, so congratulations to Ninja Turks starting the season 1-0. We'll be able to jump into the next series here, which was Instinct versus Free to Play 2.0. And I remember watching a little bit of the series, and I think it was game two that I caught maybe a little bit of it. Yes, it was. It was a much closer game. CLT take over for a second.
yeah, so Free to Play 2.0, one of our new teams this split, and welcome to the split. You get Instinct CK here, which I don't think is out of the realm to say one of the strongest, if not the strongest returning team here. The worst they finished the last two splits was semifinals. They semifinals and then finals last split, and all returning members. So this is kind of the team to watch here in this Group B. But Free to Play, they came out and they stood their ground and traded some blows with Instinct overall. Looking at the stats, will apologize. I didn't catch that much of this series, but we see Check Hunter on this way had quite a bit to do this game. 6-3-1. So he definitely introduced himself to the league a little bit, but Eclipse and Arctic, I think, are the two big ones that stand out for this game one, doing just an insane amount of damage. Arctic did almost 40% of his team's damage game one. But the thing looking at this game now is Instinct stacking these dragons with the lead that they created. And I did have the fortune of casting their week two series, and this, I can now comfortably say like they're very good at getting the early game leads, not taking risks, and just grinding teams out of these games with really good team fighting and objective control. So yeah, I mean, 19 minutes, you're already at Soul Point. You've got a Lucian that's on two items here, and he's backed up by Nami plus a Morgana Black Shield. This is always going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, I'm I'm
So
I'm back a bit from the grave there. Yeah, and I agree with all your points. The Zyra again coming out here this time having success. Avalon has definitely played it in the past. And like you said, Instinct is a hard out, man. It's not a team you're ever gonna get a free series from, let alone a free game from. So if you want to beat them, you got to come with your best. And free to play, obviously new to the league. Um, I think game one they looked a little rocky, maybe some nerves, maybe just coming in as your first game in this league, and you're just a little off. Whatever it was, definitely didn't look as clean and as good here in game one, right? But that's what I think is also beautiful. The game two, which I know I saw a bit of, like they were pushing Instinct. I'm like, wait, are they gonna win this game? Are they gonna go to three? And I thought for a bit they were. Um, but early on in this game one, they definitely were being put in a hard situation. Something else I'll also note, I'm not surprised that Basil struggled here on this Wukong. The Zyra is a 100% a counter pick to Wukong, right? That's why Zyra jungle became a thing. Was when Wukong was OP a bit ago. Uh, they had to find a way to deal with him, and Zyra jungle was the answer. So I'm not surprised that Wukong's struggling in this game. Um, but yeah, I mean, Chuck Hunter seemed the only one to have a little bit of success, which is also very impressive as you're into Good Boy, right? Uh, but Good Boy pulling out the Morgana mid. Is Morgana mid just like a thing now? I guess it is because everybody's playing it. Like, what's going
Uh,
on?
I talked to I think specifically Rurika, and he said that it's been showing a lot up in the Western leagues, LPL, LCK. I have not personally seen it. I don't follow pro play that much, but I mean, Morgana mid kind of falls in that area where like Lux mid is, where she's super slept on, and Riot just seems to be just giving this champion nothing but buffs the last 4 to 5 patches. So, eventually it has to be good.
If you buff it, it will come and be OP or something like
I
that.
just,
I don't know.
yeah, especially after like 3 months of straight buffs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I want to note I'm happy Arctic got to have a nice performance. I know uh, he was a little one of those people that was down on himself a little bit after finals, and here popping off and looking very good. So I'm sure that's gonna have to boost the confidence a bit. Um, so again, yeah, and CLT mentioned it. These guys are the returning runner-ups, and the team that beat them, they're no longer here. So understand that like I don't want to say it like this is the end all be all. This team's gonna win the split, but as of right now, if there's a team that you would consider um, the team to beat, it'd be them 100%.
yeah,
Uh,
100%. Yeah.
they have the best odds. Our Vegas odds has them at I'm just kidding,
Hmm.
but you guys get it.
No,
Like they'd have great Vegas odds to win right now.
I,
So
until you beat them, my money's on them.
yeah, and
Like
that's fair.
it's,
And I think it
yeah.
might take playoffs to do so. It might take a 5 game series to do so. I think that's where we saw them struggle last split, and maybe they've kind of shored up some of those holes in their champ pools for Fearless. But I do think that's where it's going to come down to for me is seeing what playoff form Instinct looks like. But then again, don't discount the idea that all of a sudden they fall off the rest of the split. I don't think it's going to happen, but anything can happen, right? That's the fun thing about League of Legends. Uh, but I doubt it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was a tall task for free to play. Like this is you're running into this team. Last thing I'll note before we move on to the next one is Eclipse went absolutely off on this Lucian. That was a disgusting Lucian game. So,
Yeah.
um, and it's nice to show because this proves anybody who thinks that the sum of this team is literally just good boy, and if you can beat good boy, you can win. Let this game be a showing that this team, and I've said this before to anybody who says this, um, this team is not just good boy and the boys. This is a full 5 man squad that anybody can perform and have good performances and carry a series. That's what is beautiful about Instinct. Uh, do I think Good Boy might be the best player? Sure, and I think Instinct, the members, will give him that too. I've talked to them a couple times. But that's because they love each other. They're good friends. Like it's, whatever to that. But that shows you, nah. This is not just a Good Boy show. That right there. And you know what? That's good that it's not because that means this team's even scarier.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's jump into game two, which I think was probably the more exciting of the two games, as free to play pushed them to the edge. I mean, this was nearly a 50-minute game. This kind of had everything in it. Um, Everybody on both sides of the coin performed relatively well. I think supports both dying 10 and 11 times. That's fine. Your game is 50 minutes. You're going to die a lot in a 50-minute game. Um, Good Boy did have an extremely insane game here as he did 73,000 damage on the Oriana. But I mean, even eclipsing Arctic did perform well, dropping 50 plus here. On the other side, damage charts are pretty well dispersed. Everybody did damage besides support, which is good. So I do think both teams performed well in this game to make it what it was, and probably one of the best games of the weekend, if not the best. So, what do you have to say about this 50-minute game, CLT?
So I unfortunately did not catch too much of this game, but looking at the comps and seeing, after game one, uh, I I mean, these two teams just went at it. I think the thing that stands out was Instinct able to grind away this game and make leads even though they weren't getting, a lot of the dragons. So I would expect that like this got to somewhere into an elder range, and Instinct, they might have the best team fighting in the league, and the fact that Good Boy is such an insane player, not like he plays everything well, but like this team knows how to play with Oriana and knows how to team fights with like Don on engaged supports. So it doesn't surprise me that they grinded this game away with the comp that they drafted, and also like Arctic on this Poppy. He's the only top laner I think gonna pull this out, and Poppy's still just in a pretty insane spot. I don't know if I go that far, but yeah. If you don't have a lot of lockdown, which they really didn't for this Echo outside of Maokai, then yeah, he's able to play with a lot more risk and a lot more freedom. Potentially. Hmm. I glimpsed a little bit at the series, but I did not catch enough of it. It looked like kind of from the word go, um, Rurika and Mac were putting a lot of pressure onto the map, and Rurika, obviously a very very talented player, especially on very mechanically favored champions. So, um, but I did see there was a couple of instances where I don't think Femboy Jellyfish either played situations right or they weren't fully committed as a team on some decision makings, because there was a few moments where you guys scrapped back and the game was never like out of reach for Team Ghost overall. But No, no. I think I think you guys put up a fight, and overall, I think there's a lot that you can take away from this game. This is kind of makes me think of the like what I said about the Kappa Chungus coin flip series at the very beginning, where it's like both teams are going to take away from it, but you always learn more from a defeat than you will a victory. And overall, I think a lot of these teams this week that came away with losses, has got a lot to take away from it, you guys included. So no, no, this was a pleasure, and you know, it's always fun doing the podcast. We're gonna give it to them, for this split and power rankings next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Oh, all right, all right. Much love, and see you guys on Twitch here in a few minutes.